Hey everybody, it's your pal Mike Zombie, and this week we're going to talk about Death Metal Zombies from 1995. 1995, yeah, that's right. This was filmed on VHS, and surprisingly, I really enjoyed this film. Now, you guys know I don't like shit that's shaky cam. I don't like shit that's shot on video. Even usually mini DV pisses me off because they're running and holding the camera. But Todd Jason Cook, who wrote and directed this, really tried to do everything right. There is an obscene amount of shots and angles, and a lot of planning went into this. So I'm honestly kind of wondering if this was like a student film. Because, you know, when you get together with your friends and make a fucking movie with a video camera or your phone or whatever, you know how it turns out. Shitty. And it ends up grainy on YouTube. And if I had $5 for every pixel in it, I'd have like $35. So you know how it usually ends up. This was rather different. Granted, I like this especially because I'm their age. I remember in 1995 exactly what I was doing, where I was, and I looked exactly like these guys. I listened to the same music. I did the same stupid things, and I had the same hair. So I really identify with them just to start off with. But this was done in 95, folks. And think about how the zombie explosion and all the movies didn't exist back then, which is why I really wanted to see this. Homespun horror films are nothing new. Homespun zombie films, again, are nothing new. But to put this much work into a film, which Todd really did in 1995, back when I was, oh my God, 22 years old. So, I mean, I'm with these guys as far as this kind of stuff goes. To think about making this kind of a film back then, in that time, was ambitious. And it wasn't just shitty. I mean, the titling on this was really good. And I would say that you can't automatically hold how the film looked against him because it was filmed with a camcorder. And you remember, some of you, what kind of resolution that was. But production value, this was a remarkable film. As far as special effects, for people who didn't apparently know about making special effects, real good. What they did was believable. It was semi-realistic. I mean, okay, yeah, we have the stabbing into the thin air and punching and having reactions, but when a guy falls down on a spike and it comes up through his stomach, blood is splurting out, and it looked good. I cannot shit on the special effects of this film. The way it shakes down is it starts off, and you know what? You can apparently buy this film on Amazon, and to be honest with you, I downloaded it. And because I'm going to talk good about this film and because I did identify with this film, I'm going to buy a copy just so I have it. Fuck it. Why not? Now, the movie starts off with a guy in a Richard Nixon mask who goes around killing late teens, early 20-something women for no apparent reason. We don't know who he is, what he is, why he is. We don't understand his motivations, and he vanishes from the film pretty promptly right in the beginning. He does make an appearance in the end. I believe it to be an updated version. I think they did some work on the 10th anniversary, which I think is what I actually saw. We see him kill a teenage girl, and her friends go running outside into a pack of zombies. But we don't understand where they came from. Now, if I had any gripe about this film, any gripe at all, it would be about the storyline. It didn't make a lot of sense as to where the zombies came from, why they're around. In the beginning, we get a story later on as to what brings them up, but in the beginning, why the fuck are there zombies everywhere? And where do they go? Because they just promptly vanish. That would be my only real problem with this film. So we see a Richard Nixon masked guy chase some girls out into the woods. They get killed by zombies. And then suddenly we come to modern day, which would, of course, in this movie be 1995, as a couple of headbangers are hanging out. And this is cut with scenes of a young woman taking a shower. And that was C. Joe Vella. She was playing Kathy. And folks, you know how I am. You know I'm easily hypnotized by boobs, but I'm not bullshitting you. I rewatched the intro scene probably 15 times. C. Joe Vella.
Holy shit!
Sorry, I gotta put the pop filter back down. That's better. And they didn't waste any time getting to the topless footage in this film, which made me think, all right, well, okay, it's great. And it was nice. And I'm thinking, well, maybe that's making up for creativity or anything else. But no, there was a shitload of creativity in this film. And this is, if you remember what it was like to be into heavy metal at the onset of grunge, that would kind of be what was going on here. And they dedicated this film in the end to Kurt Cobain, which was kind of weird. Why you would dedicate a film that really had nothing to do with Seattle, teen spirit, flannel, grunge. It didn't seem to relate in any way to anything that had to do with Cobain, but whatever. Fuck it, you can dedicate it to Lassie, I guess. I don't have to approve. And they're hanging out, and they're talking about death metal, and the acting is really crappy. But it's so crappy that it's good. And these friends are hanging out talking about a band called Living Corpse. And they have a contest on the radio. If you send in your name on a 3x5 card, because remember, back then we really didn't have all that much stuff going on the internet as far as the average Joe. So what were you going to do? And if you won this contest, they would send you a tape. Yeah, that's right, a tape. Some of you kids may need to look up cassette tape on Wikipedia and see what it was. It was file sharing back when I was a kid. If you send the information in, they send you a tape if you win the contest of their new album, but there's a special song on there that's not going to be available to anybody else. It's only on that one tape. So you get to enjoy it all to yourself. Brad, one of these two guys, enters and wins. And I'm gonna paraphrase this whole film because, oddly enough, I want you to see a VHS film from 1995, which has 3.7 stars out of 10 on IMDb. You're probably gonna fucking hate it unless you're my age and was into heavy metal and grew up kind of like I did. Then this film, you're gonna laugh and identify with a lot of these people. So Brad wins, and he puts on this tape. And the song called Zombified, what do you know, turns him, his other friend, and Kathy into zombies. But they don't turn into like Romero zombies. They turn into the, real serious heroin addiction burglar. You're kind of walking around with your eyes all blackened out. And that's okay. And I expect those kind of zombies from a homespun film. I didn't expect much. So and maybe that's what I need to do. That's the key to me for every movie I watch, even out of Hollywood, maybe even especially Hollywood now, is aim low. Put those expectations down in the fucking dirt where dog's ass is sitting on them. And if something good happens, I feel great about it. Maybe that's what I need to do. So they become zombies and they rise up and they realize the singer of this band, Living Corpse, is like, "You will do my bidding. And you will bring," and he suddenly shows up in their garage like, ta-da, and he's there, and he says, "You're going to kill people and bring them to me." And I'm thinking, man, it's got to be easy to fucking bring people there and kill them, because you ever tried to drag 180 pounds of uncooperative weight? Some of us have. Shallow grave, what the fuck, don't judge me. So they go off and just start killing people. And this little, very mini, very localized zombie apocalypse starts to spread. Well, Brad's girlfriend, who wasn't present at the time to hear the tape and hear that song and to become a zombie, she shows up like, what the fuck? And realizes that everybody's going crazy and is dead. This jackass, I think his name was Tommy, stole the tape, and she had to go get the tape, and they're going to play it backwards and undo every single thing that got done. God, not to sound like a fucking creep, folks, but between C. Jovella being topless in this and lots of ass in this film, and I mean, it's just the pants they're wearing. This is the stonewashed jean era thing going on. I can't remember those. They just look fucking stupid, but everybody had them on, and they're all up to their fucking belly buttons in this thing. The production value for what they had to make this was fantastic. It does look like it was done with a video camera, and that's good because it was. But the editing was really nice. I noticed one voiceover that Angel said late in the film as they're like, "Oh my God, what are we going to do?" It was a very clear voiceover that was done, but everything was very smooth. All transitions were smooth. Special effects were done smart. They weren't done ridiculous. Shengar, who is the singer for Living Corpse, they do show him burning and turning into a skeleton. And I did notice immediately that it was a medical skeleton because, of course, the nuts and bolts were pretty clear holding the joints together, and the saw line straight across the forehead is pretty evident. But, but what the fuck? Come on. This is a better film than I ever would have made. The soundtrack, provided apparently exclusively by Relapse Records, had a few bands that I remembered. I'm pretty sure Mortician was in this. But a lot of bands, frankly, I'd never listened to. At this point in my life, I was kind of listening to this, still listening to a lot of punk, but I was also gravitating to like a Southern metal kind of sound. At this point, I was also listening to a lot of Corrosion of Conformity, so I was kind of getting into that groove. I don't know. If you know what I'm talking about if you're a fan of the music, like doom metal, sludge rock, that kind of shit. So eventually, Angel saves the day, and everything, for the most part, goes back to the way it was before, though a few people apparently were unfortunately irreparably killed, which will happen when the dead are walking around. Let's see. I did like okay, here's my notes. Oh, yeah, because country music apparently makes the zombies cover their ears and start crying and die, which I think we can kind of relate to a bit. One more little production goof that I'm sure I haven't really looked up the notes in this film. I'm sure everybody else has already said it. There's a scene where Brad is standing in a doorway in a Kiss t-shirt, and as he's talking with Angel, for some reason, it pans back to him and his shirt is flipped around. The logo is going in the wrong direction. So for whatever reason, they flipped the film when they were editing, and I don't know why, for a very, very brief period. Didn't make any sense. 10 seconds later, the Kiss logo's in the right direction. Now, I almost shared the bedroom one of these guys had. I'm not sure whose bedroom it was. Poster-wise, I saw a lot of Iron Maiden posters. I specifically had the Trooper poster and Stranger in a Strange Land. I did notice both of those. And I had a couple of Wasp posters and a lot of Metallica. I did share one of their posters. But this room, for a guy who was so into death metal, there was a shitload of Kiss posters everywhere. And being in that era and being kind of a Kiss fan when I was a bit younger, there is a hand-drawn photo of Vinnie Whiz Vincent in his Ankh, Egyptian fucking Kiss face. And most of you, even those of you who kind of remember Kiss, remember the Big Four, and you're like, there was an Egyptian guy? Yeah, very briefly. Vinnie Whiz Vincent joined after Ace left, and he became the Wiz, which we remember was one of Michael Jackson's greatest appearances on film. I don't fucking know. But yeah, so I recognized it right away and said, wow, somebody hand drew that. Yikes. And it looks like somebody hand drew it. But for the music these guys were into, the bedroom did not relate at all. I saw a Slayer poster, and one of the guys was wearing a Sepultura shirt. And other than that, I didn't see any real link back to death metal. They did a little weird concert, which I guess would have been like a death metal concert back then. I'd been to a lot of shows back then, but I don't remember like girls running around holding like really annoyed looking boa constrictors like it's cold and there's a lot of vibrations. Can you please take me home? I'm deafened now because that's how I hear things. But whatever, it's a movie. And for what it was and what it is, it was absolutely well made. So my hat's off to Todd Jason Cook. And on the Berdinsky scale, a scale that will recognize and appreciate a homemade film, a homemade zombie film, especially when a lot of love was put into it. And he put a lot of love into this film. On the buy it, borrow it, or don't bother, this is a definite borrow. Definite borrow. I enjoyed it a lot. I'm going to buy it myself just because it reminds me so much of being that age and that time. And yeah, I'd like to say to Todd and everybody else in this film, thank you. He took me back to being 21, 22, hanging out with my stereo turned up, playing pool, fucking around, drinking, drag racing. I don't know. Life was different for me back then, and I kind of miss those times. So thanks. It was fun to go back, even if just for a couple of minutes, even if just for 90 minutes to laugh and go, yup. So folks, you're not going to be blown away. In fact, you might even hate this film. If you don't have any link to it, you might just despise it, but I would say it is definitely worth a watch. So if I can't convince you to buy it, check it out online. I'm sure it's streamed somewhere. Death Metal Zombies, a video from